Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. And it's the live game review, Everton 0, Manchester City 2 in the FA Cup quarter-final at Goodison Park. Carlo Ancelotti's Everton crash out of the FA Cup at the quarter-final stage after what was a tough game of football. Look, I think we were much better than we were in the Premier League fixture against Manchester City at Goodison Park, and we held them back for a lot longer than we did in that game, but ultimately it still ended up in a defeat. And there's a lot of different talking points to go through. There's a lot of different things we had sort of against us as well coming into this game. Obviously we knew that João Virginia was going to be in goal, and to be fair to João Virginia, I think he was absolutely fantastic, and we'll go on to talk about him a little bit later on in the live stream. Obviously, we were without the likes of James Rodriguez, Abdoulaye Doucouré, so it was always going to be a difficult task, especially when we all sat here at whatever time it was, 4:30 on Saturday afternoon, and looked at Manchester City's bench and just thought, you know what, we may as well just watch the chase or something, because you look at their bench compared to our bench, and it was night and day. But it is still ultimately disappointing. It is, and I know we all sat here on the instant match reaction and sort of went, look, they're Manchester City. Manchester City, and Everton can't compete with that. But when you look at it and when you review it, it's still an FA Cup quarter final. It was an opportunity to get to Wembley. I mean, I was watching the FA Cup games last night, the Manchester United and Leicester game, and I was watching it and I was sort of just, I don't know, I had a little bit of a lump in my throat, because I just thought we could have been there, we could have been at Wembley. And you look at the game, the teams that have obviously gotten through. You've got Southampton, who would have fancied in a semi-final. You've got Leicester, who again are a very good team, but I still think are inconsistent, and in a one-off game I think you could beat. And then you've obviously got Chelsea, who are very solid at the moment. But look, I suppose it is what it is. I mean, it was a difficult game. We now go into an international break off the back of that defeat. I think it's 3 defeats on the bounce now: Chelsea, Burnley and Manchester City. And ultimately the sole focus now is a European finish. There's no distraction now. There's no other way. We have to finish in European competition. We have to finish in at least the Europa League. And it makes those games against your Burnleys and your Fulhams and your Newcastles that we've lost too many times this season that much more important, because it's not like we can sit here and say, oh, we've still got an FA Cup quarter final here, we've still got an opportunity to win a trophy. We haven't now. Let's be honest, we're not winning the Premier League. So in terms of progression and the season, for me, Europe is an absolute must. We're joined by Tom today as per usual. Before we get into the live stream, don't forget to check out the Football News 365 app. You can check it out using the link in the description. Keeps up to date with all the latest Everton news, scores, predictions, scorelines, table, all of that good stuff, ran by an Evertonian as well, so you'd be massively helping him out as well as ourselves. It's free to download on iOS, Android, all of that good stuff via the first link in the description. If you're watching live, get involved in the comments. If you're enjoying, leave a like, share the stream as well to try and get as many people involved. But look, it was disappointing, Tom. It was. I mean, Manchester City we all know how strong they are, and again, like I've just said, you look at their bench and it's just absolutely night and day compared to, I think we had maybe 3-4 lads on there who hadn't played a first team game. We had 2 young goalkeepers on the bench. One I think must be from the under 18s or under 17s or something. Harry Tara, who of course is only very young as well. There was fight there. I mean, we held Manchester City back for a good 80 minutes. I know in the Premier League game we were done well in the first half, but then we sort of let them run away with it. But there was sort of an inner feeling, and as much as we might sit here and say, look, it's not the most anger results. It's not like we're sitting here after Burnley and we're going to go in about how bad we were and etc. But there's definitely holes to pick, and we were talking off camera about how sloppy we were in possession. Even though we didn't have a lot of the ball, when we had the ball, we weren't good enough with it. But there's still that overriding feel, even though we kept them out for 82 minutes, even though we defended really well, we've still lost the game of football in the end, and we're still all sitting here disappointed.
Yeah, you're looking at it and you think, when you look back at it, even when it was going through, you always thought that City were a little bit off, weren't they? They didn't really turn up in the first half an hour, and to be honest with you, I thought they were still in like first gear early. Manchester City, I think we've done well in terms of keeping like a good defensive structure. We did have a few little moments, but I thought Richarlison was very wasteful in that first half. I thought in some cases he was holding onto the ball too much, where he could have released certain players and things like that. But they did when you look at it the other way around, they did hold us to like very few chances. Yeah. So their defensive performance ultimately was better than ours. Really, I do agree that the bench was a bit of a difference in terms of bringing De Bruyne on. I think we were all, especially me. I thought I was just waiting for that De Bruyne substitution to get it turned on. You're seeing it. Pep Guardiola is very good in seeing things in match game situations. Like I feel like I noticed it myself in terms of watching what Alan and Gomez were doing in the second half. They both on a yellow card.
Yeah. Alan
looked very, very tired. He was struggling, weren't he? So I think Guardiola exposed us in that point and then they ultimately just took it up a notch.
Yeah.
Thought Everton were just holding onto an edge cliff, weren't they, by the fingertips?
Yeah.
So I think, look, listen, it's disappointing because it's a quarter-final FA Cup, you know what I mean? And you're frustrated too, but the golfing class just shows, doesn't it? And
yeah, absolutely.
More so than anything, from my point of view, I start looking then in terms of, well, why is this such a massive golfing class? Is it just money or anything? But no, ultimately, it's recruitment.
Yeah.
Our recruitment over many years, we've spent nearly 500 million on players in the last 5 years.
Yeah,
and we're playing a low block defensive structure with no attacking threat. I mean, that just shows you how poor it's been. So, in terms of this specific game, it's more so just frustration.
Yeah.
Because Everton never seems to really get the luck of the draw either, do you?
Not a chance.
You go battle against Tottenham and you think that was, show fight, and like you think that's a proper cup game and you think you've got some luck on you, and then all of a sudden the ball comes out and it's City and you think, right, that's it.
Back to bed.
So I mean, it's frustrating, but you've got to take a step back, haven't you, and think 2 quarter-finals, and we're still, we are 8th at the moment, but we have got a game in hand, and I think we're just trying. I think the worrying part is that we are losing important players at the wrong time in the season, and you feel like the wheels are starting to come off, don't you?
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I think you're spot on there, and you brought up tiredness in legs and stuff, and I think Manchester City, again, quite similar to the game in the Premier League a couple of weeks back, only it happened a lot earlier in that game, is that they seemed fitter than we did. Don't get me wrong, the golfing quality was evident. I mean, it was evident on Saturday. Their quality was always going to shine through, and it was evident in that Premier League game, but they seemed like, we kept them for 70, 80 minutes, and in the first half I thought we were very, very good in terms of giving them a little bit of a battle and fighting with them and actually taking the game to them. Don't get me wrong, I don't think Manchester City were what Manchester City usually are. I think they'd dropped levels as well, and we'd sort of stepped it up a little bit. But you could see very clearly, I mean, Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the second half was stopping those constant runs at defenders, and his energy seemed to just sort of drain. Alan's energy seemed to drain. Andre Gomez went from being involved in the first half and actually playing some nice passes to just, again, completely being invisible in the second half. And as soon as you start to lose that energy, and as soon as you start to show, right, we're tiring a little bit now, we're not going to be able to keep up this constant press, this battle with this side, then, Pep Guardiola, like you quite rightly said, Tom, he's seen that, and that's when he brings on the likes of, Riyad Mahrez and Kevin De Bruyne, and from that point you're sort of sitting there scratching your head thinking, what'll be. But I actually think the Yerry Mina chance in the first half was for me a really important moment within the game, because I think in that first half we defended really well. Don't get me wrong, I still think we were sloppy in possession. I really don't like this, and I had this conversation with my dad after the game, is I can understand that in certain games we're going to have 20% possession. I can understand in certain games that if we're coming up against the best team in the league, i.e. Manchester City, then defending might be the way, and keeping a strong back line and not letting them get in behind, which is what we did in the first half, and that's fine. I get that, going toe to toe with these types type of teams isn't going to work, and I understand that. But the issue I have then is if you're going to have 29, 30, 25, whatever % possession, when you've got that ball, you have to do a lot better with it. And that's the infuriating thing for me is, you know, as much as we can sit here and say the effort was great and the battle was there and we just weren't good enough, and that's all true, that is all true, but ultimately you pick holes in it and you watch it again and you watch some of the times that we had the ball, and it almost seemed like, say Manchester City had the ball for 5 minutes continuously, we won it back, and within the first 30 seconds of winning it back, we either played a silly long ball which didn't need to be played, which went out of play and they picked it back up, or Mason Holgate done it on a number of occasions and he frustrated the life out of me. Just had it at a right back centre half position and just lumped it forward. And I think we're a little bit too reliant in this sort of tactic and in this style of play. I think we become a little bit too much reliant on Dominic Calvert-Lewin's aerial ability. In fact, I think that is exactly the reason as to why we're constantly losing the ball when we have it in these situations, is because it almost seems like if there's not an easy pass on, which sometimes there's not an easy pass on, you seen it on Saturday. Dominic Calvert-Lewin picked the ball up, I think, on 2 or 3 occasions, and there wasn't a pass on, so he didn't just kick it away, he didn't just lump it forward, he didn't just give it back, he shielded it, he had it out for a throw-in on a couple of occasions by kicking it against Manchester City players, he used his body well, he either won fouls. I feel like when it's everybody else, certainly in that back line, and Mason was I don't just want to pick Mason out, by the way, but I think he was a culprit for it on Saturday. It seems like they pick the ball up and think, right, we'll just lump it in the air and Dom will win that header. Dom will win that header against anybody, so we'll be sound because he'll win that header. And the reality of the situation is, as good as Dominic Calvert-Lewin is in the air, and he is, he's very, very good, he's very solid, he's not going to win every single header every time. And if you're lashing the ball 50 foot in the air and it's 25 metres away from Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the likelihood is by the time he's ran over and competed for that, the defender's got the better of him, or it's dropped and the defender's picked it up and come forward. I do just feel like in this sort of style, players maybe think, right, we've got the ball back now, we're not going to have it for very long, so hit it long. And I understand that, you know, when we have the ball, we need to get it forward and we need to try and create opportunities. But why not do that with nice little 1-2 passes? Why not do that on the floor? Why not do that with getting it to a Sigurdsson and allowing him to get it forward, or getting it to, you know, a Richarlison and allowing him a run on the defenders, or playing it out to Dean in front of him so he can run onto it? I just feel like we were a little bit too reliant on lump it up forward and hope Dominic Calvert-Lewin wins that header. And more times than not, he didn't win the header, and that's not as much down to Dom, that's as much down to everybody just going, we'll just hit it in the air and hope for what happens. And I'm not really into that, to be honest, because like I said, when you're having a game where you're having 10% of the possession or 20% possession, whatever we had, you can't just lump it forward and hope that Dominic Calvert-Lewin wins it. It has to be a lot cleverer than that. You have to be more cute, there has to be nice passes, you'd have to keep hold of it. If there's not an easy pass on, keep hold of the ball, win a foul, keep the possession, make sure that you're frustrating them in that way. Don't just give it back to them and go, you come at us. And we've done that on a number of times this season as well, by the way. It wasn't just Saturday. On a number of times this season when we've played in games where we haven't had a lot of the possession, we've just give it straight back to them as soon as we got it. But like I said, we'll go in a little bit more detail in terms of the specific things that happened in the game. We will get into the live comments, by the way. If you're enjoying, don't forget to leave that a like. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, share the stream. But Yerry Mina's header, Tom, just before half time, I think we had a corner, ball gets swung in and Yerry Mina jumps for it, heads it towards goal. I haven't seen many replays, so I can't quite conclusively say that it was going in, but anyway, it gets cleared near enough off the line. There's a player there and he clears it off the line, and you're sort of thinking this was always going to be a game for Everton of very few opportunities. And I actually don't think, other than that chance, we had many opportunities, to be fair. You know, it's not like we're sitting here saying Dom missed 2 1-on-1s, Richarlison missed 3 sitters. We didn't have many efforts on target, if any, really, and that was pretty much the only...
We had one
shot on target, did we? Well, and was that a comfortable save? I think it might have been Gomez or something.
Yeah, I think it was Richarlison, like from a long... I mean, Richarlison had a few chances there. I mean, he had an overhead kick.
Yeah, he had the overhead kick.
He had a few chances outside the area, but when you actually do go through the game in terms of what we created in open play, I mean, there was little to next to nothing, really. I mean, yeah, I know you mentioned Virginia had a good game. Yeah, he had a good game, but I think he was very well protected in the first half. I feel like we did drop. I think you looked at where we started. I think we did drop about 5-10 yards to protect that, because I seen Godfrey just sort of holding on for that ball over in behind, and he was the man who was covering that space, which is what you want, really. I mean, that's what he was bought for. He was bought for his pace and the way he plays. Really, that's what he was there for. Because when you look at Mina, you can't necessarily play a high line with Mina and Keane because they're just not quick enough.
Absolutely.
So I think we did protect him in that sense, and I think the whole setup was, you see in the way Holgate was dropped back, you see Dean was sort of pinned back a little bit, then you had Coleman really sort of dropping in behind. So I think in terms of when we did get the ball, I thought Gomez played well in the first half. Credit where it's credit's due. I thought he did. But I feel like because we did drop 10 yards, I feel like John was just playing 5 yards in front of Diaz and Laporte, so he couldn't necessarily really play his game. I think, see, Dom for me, it's all well and good saying his hold up. Yeah, it's good to a certain point, but it's not like brilliant. I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin's main asset is his pace and his pace in behind. So if you can get Dom turning on the shoulder of these centre halves, I feel like he wins 9 times out of 10 because of his speed and his athleticism. We did that once, and their goalie come out and had to, well, obviously gambled, but Diaz was in a world of trouble because Dom had him on toes really, and that in the second half really, that there was twice we done it, and they looked vulnerable in that, and I don't think we exposed them as much as what we should have done in that team. And you're trying to pick out moments and really the one moment we had was off a corner with Mina with a glancing header who we don't really know whether it was going in or not. So
it's
I mean, it's just you're trying to find positives, but it's very hard to find them. Really,
it's difficult, and again, it's difficult to review a game like this and to talk about a game like this, because 9 times out of 10,
there's something to review.
That's it. If we were in the pub, say the pubs were open and me and Tom had gone for a Wetherspoons brekkie now, and we were sitting there, and Tom said, "What do you think of the game, mate?" I think we'd both just go, "Yeah, it is what it is. They're very good. We're not as good." It was disappointing.
There wouldn't be no real conversation. There's nothing there that you can sort of grasp onto, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, and especially coming off the Burnley defeat, football's week to week, and you can be before Burnley we were high on life and things like that, and you know Chelsea come along and you think, right, we'll swipe Chelsea away, and then Burnley comes along and it just daggers you, doesn't it? And you think, what's going on here? But you can start seeing
patterns.
You can start seeing the pattern now, where are Everton now going to just struggle for the next 11 games of this season because we haven't got, the squad is just threadbare.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's more so for me. It's not so much that particular match. It's more so the worrying part is the next matches where we've got Crystal Palace, and you start thinking, oh, this could all just turn very, very quickly on its head.
It's the context, isn't it, of the situation. I mean, losing to Manchester City, if that was a one-off game, let's per se, in, you know, I don't know, in November, December, and it was in the Premier League, you'd go, they're very, very good. We're not as good as them. We've lost to a better team. Their bench is unbelievable. But like you just said, it's the context of losing to Chelsea when we had the opportunity to go into the top 4. Then saying, all right, we lost to Chelsea. They're a very solid team. You know, pick yourselves up. Then losing to Burnley, and there being no excuses whatsoever about that defeat. Then losing not just to City, but in a quarter-final of an FA Cup, which has got its added sort of disappointment in. It's the context of that, not just that 90 minutes and that performance, because I think the performance, you know, left, you know, you could say, you know, it was there was effort, there was fight, there was energy, it wasn't the worst Everton performance I've seen. It wasn't the most angry Everton performance I'd seen either, but I just think it's the context of everything, isn't it? Now we've got an international break, which, to be fair, I think the international break could do us well, certainly given the likes of Michael Keane won't be going away with England. I want to talk about the starting 11 in a moment, Tom, and what you thought about it. Obviously the South American internationals won't be going ahead, so you'll have James, Richarlison, Alan, Mina all getting an extra bit of rest. So it makes these next few Premier League games absolutely massive, doesn't it?
Well, the Crystal Palace game's huge, especially for what Everton want to do. I mean, if they draw or get beat there, I mean, you're looking at it really and thinking, what's gone on here? Like, it's just, can you blame the manager? Can you blame the squad? Can you blame the squad depth? Is it injury? Like it's just a bad moment for Everton, where you thought Everton got out of this sort of period unscathed.
Yeah.
So we come out of December very, very well, and we lost a few players then. We come out of January all right. We come out of, but now it's starting to think that this injuries and momentum and players are looking very tight. It just looks like it's starting to just
get the better of us.
Yeah, and the wheels look like they're coming off completely.
Yeah.
So I think that's the worrying side of it. It's not so much. Listen, in terms of looking at it, it's an FA Cup quarter final. I don't necessarily think we roughed them up or done a few little last things. I thought they done that to us. I think Fernandinho was very good at sort of putting his body in and things like that, and
I think we just frustrated them for 80 plus minutes, and then their quality shone through at the end of the day. But like you said, I think that's a really good point that you've just made, by the way, mate. Sorry about that, just jumped in front of you. I think it's a really good point that you made about roughing them up, and there wasn't, it was almost, I go back to Newcastle in the Premier League a few weeks back, and I think we all watched the Newcastle game. We don't want to talk too much about it, but what they did in the first half is just kicked us up the park, frustrated us, fouled. John Joe Shelby could have been sent off in the opening 10 minutes. James Rodriguez seen his arse, I think, and just thought, I'm just getting kicked everywhere here. Richarlison the same, and then they hit us twice on the counter attack. They knew that they weren't going to have much of the possession. They knew they weren't going to have much of the ball. So not only were they clinical with the time that they had the ball, which we weren't, but when they didn't have the ball, like you've just said, they roughed us up. They made it difficult. It made it physical. We didn't really make it physical, did we, on Saturday? We defended well and we held on, and we got forward on a couple of times and we played some nice passages of play, but it wasn't like it was ever a difficult afternoon for them.
I think one player you could single out who done it, and that was Godfrey.
Yeah. Does it every week, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's got this attitude where he doesn't care who it is, who he's going up against. He'll put you in Rose Ed, whether you're Cristiano Ronaldo or freaking Joe Bloggs. He's not asked. He comes 110%, and that's what you want. But you need other. It felt like the players felt like the fans, where it was just a bit of a rollover game, where they conceded defeat before the first whistle, and that's a worrying sign for me in terms of, if we're just going to give up against City, then that's fine, but we sort of give them a freebie against Chelsea because apparently they were far superior on us. So I mean, you look at it in terms of what we were doing against the top. We've got a very good record against the top six, so especially this season, we're putting out fires left, right and centre, especially like at Anfield and things like that. But we can't sort of switch this mentality as fans and think like and say that's a freebie, because you look at what we've done this season. We should be going and giving these teams a game. This shouldn't be a walk in the park for them. If they've went and beat us 2-0, then that's fair enough. But you sort of seen us drop back and give them the ball in terms of that. But we didn't do nothing even defensively. I thought they were playing first gear, and second half you sort of seen it. They picked it up a little bit and they were stretching our midfield out. We haven't even brought. Segur's isn't really even playing to me. Like, could you even say what he done? I don't even know what he done. Yeah,
defensively, I think he was. I think, to be fair, I think he was in the wrong areas, to be honest. I think basically we'd said. I said this in the instant match reaction. I think we'd said everybody here and Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison here, and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. It looked so disjointed. It looked so far away. Like it was weird. It was like Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin for once were getting close to each other.
Yeah.
But the midfield was about 5-10 yards off them.
Yeah.
It just looked so disjointed. Like it never looked like Like, yeah, if you want to put it in layman terms, it was basically Everton parking the bus.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what it was. There was no counter-attacking where... I think Everton are very good at counter-attacking.
Yeah.
I think they've got the players to do so. But you're looking at that midfield. Like I said to you, I mentioned before, didn't I? I mean, you'd think our midfield was worth £1 million. But if you're looking at City's midfield and you're looking at Everton's midfield in terms of what they paid for, I mean, Everton paid 92 million for their midfield and City only paid 105. Now, like I said to you off the camera, would you suggest that they're 13 million off Man City? The miles off, the double that. So you've got to look. You've got to start putting people accountable for this. You can't spend this much money and then still have rollover games against Man City and things. It's just not. It's not acceptable for me.
And again, it's not so much on the current sort of manager Carlo Ancelotti or Marcel Brands.
Oh.
It's the reigns of previous managers that are still affecting us, isn't it? Your Koemans, your Allardyce, and
it's not so much the manager. The Koeman and Steve Walsh era was probably the biggest detriment to this club you would ever see in Everton history. Yeah. It was huge. It was a monumental failure. Yeah. If you look at their players, what they brought in, it was horrendous.
Yeah.
It was absolutely horrendous. I mean, Koeman didn't even look like he wanted to be there, to be honest with you. So, in terms of you looking at that, and like we're sort of saying like Brands, but Brands bought Gomez. You know what I mean? Brands is still accountable for certain plays in this side. I mean, you're looking at Iwobi. I was given there is a player there, but again, that was a Brands signing.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But then you're looking at it in terms of who there's two separate things going on Everton. One is Ancelotti getting his plays in, and the second part is Godfrey Marcel
Godfrey
Brands
being a belter.
Yeah, and Marcel Brands bringing his plays in. Yeah. Now there's a mad mixture there because you're looking at the Doucouré situation. That was Brands. We know this. That because Ancelotti's even come out, but
Godfrey as well.
Godfrey was Brands, but then you're looking at Allen.
Yeah.
James Rodriguez. That's Ancelotti, but it's different parts of the spectrum in terms of if Everton are going to do anything in the next year, 2 years, they've got to do it.
Yeah.
There's no like when you look at Leicester, you look at Leicester and think, hold on, they're growing into a side that could potentially stay in Champions League because of their age and the profile of the players. You're looking at Tillemans and things like that. You look at us and you think, well, Gomez is going to be 28 next year. Allen's going to be 30. Sigurdson's going to be 32. Yeah. Probably getting a new contract extension. Well done. And then you're looking at James Rodriguez. He's going to be 30.
Yeah.
So they've got a short window to be a success.
Yeah.
Because because that's what I think. That's the goal. I think they're just throwing as much money as it just to get in. Yeah. Just to get in the club. Do you know what I mean? They're giving the security guard little side pockets of £100 to put them in. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's what they're doing. But it's a dangerous game. It's a dangerous game they're playing because if they fail, say if Everton come 8th this year, where do we go?
Yeah, that's it.
What's because there's there's really like a bit of progression, but.
Europe is a must now, isn't it? Europa League is an absolute must.
100%. It's bust. It's play all, but you know what I mean. It that's what it is. And you look at that bench and it's horrendous. It genuinely is horrendous. You can't deny it. City are far superior, but over the years we've seen an Everton team that have been far less superior than other teams and put in a fighting performance and not go down without a fight. And you just had a sense of this team's just losing the belief now.
Yeah. Well, I think And we will get in the comments in a moment, by the way, and if you're enjoying the stream, don't forget to leave a like, share the stream as well, try and get as many people as we can in as possible. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. I see a load of people in the comments. Kate, Manchester City fans in the comments as well. Big up Kate, dead sound fella as well. Larvid says, Cuban and Walsh, complete disaster. We had the Ajax captain, did we? Philip says, let's not forget, Carlo did say he needed 4 windows to decide at the end of the season. And it's going to be difficult for Carlo. And again, I think this transfer window coming up this summer is if not bigger than the last one.
Just on that one, though, what you've got to realise is that that's all well and good saying 4 windows, but ultimately Everton don't necessarily do much in January.
Yeah, that's 4 summers, isn't it?
So that's 4 summers, right? You're taking that in, so that's an extra 3 years then. So in 3 years' time, you're expecting Leicester, Tottenham, Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Man United, Man City not to improve.
That's it. We have to,
because the way Everton are going, the baseline, they're not a very good team. Like, let's just call it as it is. They're not a very good footballing side. I don't know what's happened to them, but Ancelotti's philosophy kind of thing, he hasn't really got a necessarily philosophy or a type of formation, but what he does very well, he puts a team in a good defensive structure, and then expects your likes of Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, your Sigurdsson and James Rodriguez in the final third to do off the cuff in things where it's very instinctive. There's not very much pattern of play in the final third for Everton. Instinctive in the final thirds. Now that's very well and good saying that for your likes of Real Madrid and AC Milan's when you've got absolute world-class players, but it's a little bit more difficult when you're looking at an Everton side who last year come 12th.
Yeah,
there's got to be more cohesion in the final third for me.
Yeah, I agree. Kate says, third choice keeper, no Doucouré, no James, limited options, really hard to come up with City without your best players. Recruitment is the hardest thing in football. Lavid says, you have a good point about quality as stated in the previous comments, but the first goal was an effective fluke. Then we were chasing the game and left gaps. As soon as the first one went in, it was done.
I don't think it was a fluke. I thought they stretched us very well. I thought listen, it was inevitability.
Yeah.
They were stretching us left, right and centre.
We were really tired at that point as well.
Alan was in Seagull.
Yeah.
Gomez was the same, and I thought Sigurdsson was having a sausage roll in the main stand. Really,
I wish I was having a sausage roll.
Yeah. So he's that. It's like that, isn't it? Like 92 million on that midfield.
Yeah. Well, that's
92 million.
That's it.
92 million, by the way, with no sell-on value. That's insane to me.
That's it. It's a massive summer this window. Like, even if get Europe or don't get Europe, but for me Europe is got to be now.
But is Gomez? If we sell Gomez tomorrow, like in the summer, what are we getting for him? Are we getting that money back?
Not a chance.
You're getting the 45-50 million for Sigurdsson back?
No.
You get the 25 million that you paid on Allen?
No.
So that's scary then, isn't it?
Well, that's it.
That's worried side.
It's more scary for the likes of your Gomez and your Sigurdssons, because Allen, I think, will still be here for a couple of years. And I get the Allen signing in terms of coming in and being that ready-made player, but
Allen's a signing where like he's been a far better thing in terms of Thiago to Liverpool, but he's that type where he just come in and just let the team progress as they are. Everton are a mess. Everton are trying to build. Have got to build something like Leicester.
Yeah.
Leicester are everything I thought Everton would be under Machiri.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it would be, but it hasn't worked out like that. So we're gonna get to a situation where you've got Allen, Gomez, Sigurdsson, James Rodriguez coming to a point in their career where they're gonna deter.
Yeah.
Now, when that happens, where are Everton gonna be?
That's it. We need to be there.
Because the ages, and it's very, very disjointed. Like Everton up front, we've got Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin. They're probably the only high sell-on value Everton have got at the club.
Godfrey as well, I'd say probably as well.
Well, yeah, but Godfrey. But who's Godfrey playing next to?
Yeah, true.
You've got Yerry Mina and you've got Michael Keane, right? They're coming up to 28, 29. They're coming into a period where you're looking at it and think, well, their sell-on value's going.
Yeah.
So Everton can't keep continuing spending money every year on 27-year-old fellas to go sign bridge a gap. It just doesn't work.
Yeah. No, I agree, absolutely. I think it's a fantastic point. I agree. Lavert says fair play. Kurt says you lot are front three, or you lot limited our front three all game and kept it super tight for 75 minutes with the personnel you had. I think you should be proud. He also says Colin Ancelotti.
That's like a tap on the head. Get out.
He also said Calvert Lewin is similar to what we had with Roberto Martinez. Changed our club's mentality was the hardest thing to do. Lavert says, I take your point, but our crossbar had an assist. And Phillips says a complete waste of $2 million on Josh King as well. Well, again, he wasn't eligible to play the other night. So I seen someone moaning about Josh King not being in the squad, and then that was when I turned my phone off. Then
you got to do your research there. I mean, but even so, that it's like. What's that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, if he's not good enough to start or fit enough to start, coming on in the final 5 or 10 minutes, you may as well throw Nathan Broadhead on in the final 5 or 10 minutes.
Would you say that King is more of a pressure from fans and a bit of a panic buy? Looking at it now.
I think it was more to get something over the line on the final day. I think, to be fair, I think the likes of Gordon were probably pushing for a loan deal to go and get more game time. I think at that point you probably had, Bernard, who was probably knocking on the door saying I'm going to probably leave, and I think the club just sort of thought, you know what, that King can come in, relatively decent enough 6-month contract, wages probably not too high, Premier League experience, just bring him in, sort of, and he can be that. Because let's be honest, Josh King is a player that comes on in the final 5 or 10 minutes of games. Carlo's had plenty of opportunities, Burnley being one of them, to start him from the start and give him that 90 minutes to go and see what he can do, and he hasn't done it. So I just think Philip says, sorry, I forgot he was cupped out. No, I'm not talking about you, Phil. I've just seen a tweet moaning about it the other day. I get what you're coming from about the complete waste of money because of every game he's played in the Premier League where he's coming on with 10 minutes to go, and what's the point? What is the point? You may as well bring Nathan Broadhead on.
Well, that's it. Like, is he going to be any different, Broadhead? Because he's been fine in the under-23s. Yeah. I mean, this is what I'm saying in terms of the squad age-wise. I mean, you're looking at that squad there, and there's a lot of experienced players, but then you've got about 4 or 5 lads on the bench who haven't even played a Premier League game. Yeah. Like, it's just so, the club is just so disjointed and so unfunctional. It's just untrue.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. It's a bizarre situation. There's no one can actually tell me what Everton's 2-3 year plan is. No, there's nothing there. You can't see it. You see it with other teams. You see it with Leicester at a massive selling point for me for Everton.
Yeah,
that's how you progress a side. Leicester City, for the last 2 or 3, I mean, I think it was maybe last 3 or 4 years, apart from last year, have been below Everton. Now, if you're looking at progression, that's how they've progressed. But they've also progressed with selling their high assets.
Yeah.
Everton have done nothing.
Yeah.
Like, we've just kept everyone. We've bought everyone. We bought about 20,000 number 10s, and we bought them for high money and they sold them for like half the money. Yeah. So I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I want to know. Like, if Everton get into Europe, that's fantastic for me, because that tells me that they can right now you can go settle and then go and buy players who are 22, 23 and start sort of
building.
You're in that sort of high end market then.
Yeah.
But we're never going to get there if this keeps continuing. There's got to be a sort of sit down and discussion where, like, I think it's very good that we're looking at Max Aarons and players like that and Godfrey. That's your starting blocks.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but the James Rodriguez's and the Allens come in when you've got that nucleus.
Yeah. And you just need that little extra bit of experience and flair.
James Rodriguez was needed in Martinez's season when we come 5th.
Yeah.
that's that type of player that just puts you over that line. That's the type you do. You're trying to build a team around a 20, 30-year-old world-class player, but you got to do it in a matter of 3 seasons.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's you fight. You're talking to a brick wall really with the man. So let's see what happens. But that's the frustrating side of Everton at the moment.
I agree. I think it's a fantastic point. Is that though? You know, no one's necessarily saying the likes of Hammers or Allen are bad signings, but they are, like as Tom said, and Tom's spot on. They're the players that you bring in for the cherry on top of the cake when everything else is, when you've got that team underneath it. And I think at the moment we haven't got that. And look, it's a massive transfer window. This window. I mean, you've got to do some serious recruitment certainly if we get into Europe. I was thinking just on the game. Here's a couple of things I want to talk about. We spoke off Cameron about the FA Cup quarter-final against Manchester City, against Chelsea in 2016, the Lukaku one where he turned up and absolutely rinsed it. We've had a number of FA Cup quarter-finals before in similar situations. We had the one against Liverpool in 2009 as well. Do you sort of think, and again, I'm not using this as an excuse, by the way, and I'm not looking for things to make an excuse about, and I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, if we had them, it'd have been sound. But do you think the lack of fans at Goodison Park was really detrimental to that? Because I honestly can't help but feel like if there was 40,000 Blues at Goodison Park, we wouldn't have performed like that, or we would have at least had that little bit more fight, and that would have given us that extra 10%, 15% energy on the pitch. Because ultimately, you know, we've been in so many of those situations, haven't we, in previous years, where we've had FA Cup quarter-finals against big teams at Goodison, and we've beaten them and we've played really, really well. Whereas obviously it couldn't have been the case this time round because of obviously the restrictions and stuff. Do you sort of think the lack of fans had a detrimental effect on the performance, or do you sort of think it's like, well, we haven't had fans all season, so you can't sort of say that?
There's studies out there that 100% it's a factor. It's a factor in terms of levels of performance in some cases, because if there's a dip or a 5-10 minute dip, then the fans can get behind them, can't they? And obviously there's a certain way called momentum. Like Everton had certain situations in that first half. I felt the crowd would have been on it.
Absolutely. The Mina header would have gotten everybody raised.
Well, the Mina header, you had the Richarlison overhead kick. Yeah. And then you had the Dominic Calvert-Lewin getting played through by Sigurdsson, and the goalkeeper come out and miss it. Now that went out for a corner. Could you imagine like the atmosphere if that was going out to that? It certainly has got to factor in. But I mean, the first half would have been very, very, very interesting if fans were there. But that second half, there was nothing really that you could sort of hang your hat on for fans to grasp. Yeah, there was no real. I mean, I think it was Richarlison wearing it, like it sort of come off Mina's head and he just hit it from outside the area. I think that was like I can't, to be honest with you, I don't think we done much in that second half really when you think about it. So it could have just went. Not downhill and moaning and things. I don't think it'd have got to that point. I think it'd have been very quiet and you know what I mean. It'd have been ominous. It'd have been very. It might maybe when you throw it like Godfrey through a tackle in here and there, you dare it, but there was nothing to hold on to in that second half.
I think that when they scored the first goal, it'd have been, everyone would have got up and have been like, come on, you know, it's come off the bar, it's just happily fallen to Gundogan, pick yourself up. And I know I thought it'd be just like the opposite.
You dare. That one. We've heard that a few times.
Yeah, that's it. It could have gone. It could go either. That's what I mean. It's really. I mean, it's impossible.
What did you think on Michael Oliver putting us on the goal?
I think I looked at. I didn't originally see Michael Oliver putting his whistle to the mouth. I seen the situation, the Mina, and I thought it's not an eye foot. It's not it's high, but it's not close to me in his head.
He pulls his foot away.
He pulls his foot away, yeah. But then as soon as I seen the Oliver situation and I seen him put his whistle to his mouth, I thought, well, why are you putting your whistle to your mouth? Because you've obviously seen that and gone, right, that's a high foot. He's put him in danger, and then because obviously they've won the ball and they've come forward, it's almost like he's changed his mind. Then I sort of think, if you're putting your whistle to your mouth and you've made that decision, you need to front it and make that decision. I don't know though, because I seen the situation and I thought, if that was the other way around, I'd be fuming if that was given again as a high foot. If it was, I don't know, Sigurdsson taking it off Laporte or something like that. But when he puts his whistle to his mouth, that's almost a decision made, isn't it?
Yeah, I personally think he was wrong in that situation, because I feel like the game and the players stopped.
Yeah. Well, Mina did, didn't he?
Yeah, I feel like when you do an action like this and put your whistle in your mouth, players automatically just stop.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden you just pulled it out and play just rapidly went on. It's a poor refereeing mistake in my opinion, because I feel like when you do this and it weren't like a quick little one.
No, he had it in his mouth for a while, yeah.
Yeah, it was a good few seconds, and then he made his decision. Players are looking at you, thinking that you're just gonna. It was a poor, but I feel like the game was gone by then, weren't it? Really, I mean,
I think as soon as it went 1-0, it was. Yeah,
done. I mean, the goal. I thought the goal come, but I think the whole midfield was just. I don't feel like our midfield was very well structured again. That three without Doucouré, just again, it's flogging a dead horse, mate.
Yeah.
It's just
no energy.
It just doesn't work without him.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Now you've got to find somewhere some other formation in that midfield to fix that
An
issue.
Alternative. Ultimately.
You've got to, because Allen's all right being there. But when you've got Sigurdsson and Gomez, who are absolutely hopeless in pressuring and very easily got around in terms of dribbling against it, it just doesn't work. And Gomez hasn't got the energy of Doucouré. Yeah. So that sort of three, it just frustrates the life out of me.
Absolutely.
The worrying part for me is if he keeps doing that, we're going to get beat every game.
Yeah. Well, there's no press, is there? I mean, you'd see other teams coming up against Everton, and you seen Leicester yesterday against Man United. I don't know if anybody watched that game, the other quarter-final, and Leicester's press was unbelievable. Every time United had the ball, he pressed them. I mean, their first goal, Iheanacho's first goal, come from them pressing the back line and Fred making a silly decision. We don't seem to do any of that. Every time an opposition has the ball, they're sort of given as much time as they want to turn, look around, stop the ball. Okay, I'll pass there. We don't press, and there was a couple of times, and I say this because I noticed it, and that just shows that we don't do it enough. There was maybe 2 or 3 times in that first half where we pressed a little bit and we picked the ball up, and Gomez played, I think, a nice pass on one occasion. There was one situation that ended up in, I think it was the Sigurdsson through ball to Calvert-Lewin, which ended up in the corner. There was 2 or 3 times when we actually pressed a little bit and got forward, but that was it. And that's the first time we've pressed in about 3 or 4 games. We don't have this, and I get that your likes of your Sigurdssons and Gomez don't have the energy to do that. They simply don't have the energy to do that. That's where your Doucouré comes into play, and obviously he's out now for a while. But I just think I'd love to see more of that. I'd love to see Everton pressing teams a lot more, and whenever we haven't got the ball, certainly in... I know it's difficult in games like this because Manchester City can play against the press and they can just play 2 or 3 passes which just completely do you in. But even in regular games, Burnley done it against us the other day. Every time we had the ball, he just pressed us, and when they got it back, and they were really good with it. I mean, on the team selection, obviously, Tom Davies and Michael Keane were 2 players that were... not involved from the start. Alex Iwobi as well, but more so Michael Keane and Tom Davies. Were you happy with the team when you seen it? Did you think that's the best of a bad situation, or did you sort of think, why isn't Michael Keane in there and why isn't Tom Davies in there?
Yeah, I sort of struggle with with why Davies isn't playing.
Yeah, I put it down to just an injury, to be honest, because I don't see why he wasn't in there.
Yeah, I mean, it's the old age thing, though. Is if he's on the bench, he's good enough to come on the pitch, then, isn't he? So why is he on the bench then if he's still injured? And he never even brought him on. No. So is he there is this how threadbare our teams become? we're putting injured players on the bench just to fill a spot.
Yeah.
So if he's not let's just go on the approach that he's not injured. It's hard to me to sort of see what Ancelotti's seeing in terms of what Sigurdsson and Gomez bring.
Yeah.
The only thing I can sort of see with Butner is just the experience, sort of the trust that he puts in them. That's really all I can see. But just on the pressing point as well, I mean, I keep forgetting the game, but there was a moment in the game where we pressed in the final third and we scored. I think
Leeds, maybe.
Was it Leeds?
Maybe. I seem to remember that was the last game that we properly pressed in.
I think it was Sigurdsson, Doucouré and Iwobi, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, it was Wolves, was it? And Iwobi scored that. It was Wolves.
Maybe, but we pressed in the final third, and I thought, I want more of that.
Yeah.
It's not entirely meaning like press like a Barcelona press. But it's just like certain situations, like go press them, go put pressure on them. Yeah. You've got them on the bit of the rope, so just go sort of put it on the toes a little bit, try and make them work out of there. But we just sort of sat back, and that whole pressing that we want comes from Doucouré.
Yeah.
You're just not going to get it with Sigurdsson and Gomez. The two, they're not athletic enough, and then they haven't got the pace or power to do it. They just simply haven't. Absolutely. I mean, the only player who you could say could the three I would go for in a midfield to sort of you'd have Allen, Davies, and Iwobi.
Yeah.
Because Iwobi's got the legs to go press in the final third, and you can allow Davies to dictate play from that number six, and then you can go give Allen the license to go hunt the ball, because that's what he wants to do. You watch Allen, he's like a little Jack Russell. Yeah. He's after that ball all the time, but he hasn't got the discipline to sort of play that six and sit and hold.
Yeah.
He's desperate to go challenge and go press them, where he goes and does that, and he looks a bit of a fool because the other two just simply don't do it.
Yeah, and he's doing it on his own then, and if he gets caught, that's it.
But you look at it, and he's leaving so much space where you're expecting a Doucouré to go fill that space.
Yeah.
But Gomez is he hasn't got that defensive instinct to go do it. So you're in a lose-lose really. I'd like to see against Palace a switch up in the midfield, because like I keep saying, we're flogging a dead horse with this Gomez sort of filling, or Sigurdsson filling in for Doucouré. It just simply doesn't work.
No, I agree, absolutely, I agree, spot on. Nobody can do that Doucouré role as well as he can, and the Doucouré role, look, Doucouré's a good footballer, he can pass the ball, he's good at the press, but let's be honest, Doucouré's biggest selling point and talking point every time we talk about him is his energy. That energy that he brings, that constant, engine that it just doesn't seem to stop, whether it be the first minute or the 90th minute. It's the same level of energy, it's the same level of intensity, and nobody brings that in this team. For as good as Alan might be, for as good as Davis might be, from what I've seen, certainly this season, nobody in that midfield can bring that as well as Abdoulaye Doucouré does.
It's a great point. I mean, you look back over the season now, and you think this whole team is just structured around Doucouré.
Yeah, and his energy.
That's when you think back, and that's it. Like, you can say James Rodriguez and things like that, but they're not. He's the linchpin of this side. He's the heartbeat.
Yeah.
He's the one that dictates the tempo. I mean, we can go on about his passing and things like that, and you can sort of critique that in a sense. But if you take his legs out that side, the card's full.
That's it. As shown in the last couple of games.
It just simply is. We haven't got anyone like on his level.
Yeah.
In terms of pace and agility and work rate. His work rate is phenomenal.
Yeah, unbelievable.
That's one thing you'll notice with Doucouré, no matter if he's play. Listen, his passing is at times is a lot to be desired, but he does get himself out of situations a lot of the time. I mean, you could look back at the start of the season in terms. There was time, I think it was against West Brom, and there was another one where they were 1-on-1, and the only man who got back was Doucouré.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doucouré absolutely flew past the defence to get back.
Well, he'd done it in the Spurs game on the opening day as well.
Yeah, and he made 2 last-ditch tackles. Now, take that out. It's a huge miss. And this is in terms of the summer now. You've got to get someone like him.
Absolutely.
We cannot have one player like him in this team. Absolutely. It cannot happen. If we go into another season where we can talk about getting Max Aarons in, and we can talk about getting a right winger in and things like that. If we don't get another Doucouré, this team isn't going anywhere.
Absolutely, I agree.
Because Gabaman is a hope more than in terms of he's actually going to come back. Like, he's going to come back, and there's still a lot more further to go for that lad.
Yeah,
he's coming back just to get into match. He's got to go through the match fitness.
I seen a couple of tweets underneath the pictures of him saying, and on like he'll be in the match day squad on the weekend then, and I was like, no, he won't be in the match day squad for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, let's just say it dead quickly. The whole, someone put a tweet out, like, I don't know how you take people seriously sometimes. Like, the Everton are getting them insured and some daft things like that. I mean, you insure your car in your house. Don't be silly.
Yeah. I was thinking that myself when I seen those tweets. I thought, there's not a chance you can insure a footballer.
What are you insuring? Yeah. Like, it's like taking your dog to the vets and then insuring them the day later. Yeah. Like, well, waste of time, isn't it? It's just silly. But he could be a massive part of Everton next season. Absolutely. If and it's a big if he comes back to what he was before. And I just, in terms of that, I mean, you just want him to be on a football pitch again. It must be mental torture for what he's gone through. Absolutely. And let's be straight honest. It was Silver who put him in that position.
Yeah, playing him when he wasn't fit.
It was a very inexperienced manager panicking at the start of a season and threw him into a game that he had no business being in.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And look, ultimately you're spot on. We all want Jean-Philippe Gbamin to come back, so we've got another option in midfield. But I want Jean-Philippe to come back for him. He's
huge. Listen, we bought it. It was a very good side. I thought it was a very, very good signing when we got him. I thought if we had Jean-Philippe Gbamin playing that 6, I know Davies, but he's far better than Davies. If he was playing that 6 and you allowed Alan to go hunt, and then you had Doucouré in there with his legs, that's a very, very good midfield, because then you allow James Rodriguez to go saunter into that number 10 where you'll have Alan covering, where you'll have Doucouré covering. You're looking at them Richarlison coming in. It just all clicks into place.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree completely, and let's hope that he can come back and he can reignite his career. Kate says Jean-Philippe Gbamin isn't a hope, he's bloody mustard. Hopefully injury has not ruined him. BR says, as a City fan, you guys are spot on about the pressing situation. I think that whenever Everton go into the market this summer, you must prioritise a couple of very mobile midfielders. Mobility, mate, is number one.
It's insane that we're talking about getting more centre midfielders in when we brought 3 in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, how many more centre midfielders do we need?
That's it.
It's just crazy, isn't it?
That's it. That's what I mean. It's and the fact that we're talking about centre midfielders, like you said, is mental, isn't it? Really. Kate, it's hard to play a pressing game with fixture congestion. Most teams' pressing stats are down from last season. Even with our massive squad, we're running far less. We don't press in any game, do we?
No, for me, it's not. It's like I say, it's not a Barcelona, Man City press. It's situational presses that I want to see more. I seen it against Chelsea, where I saw vulnerabilities in Chelsea's back line, and that Jorginho, where Seguez, I thought, could match him for pace, and they were trying to get him on the ball, and Seguez was man-marking him. I thought we could press in situations like that, but again, we haven't got the midfield. You see, if you start watching Everton, you'll start noticing Richarlison or James Rodriguez will go press, and no one will go press with him. Yeah. And then he'll turn around and start. I've seen a lot of the time James Rodriguez trying to shout his teammates up to go and press. it's just so dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Especially when Doucouré's not there.
Yeah. I agree absolutely, completely. Andy says, look at Tielemans and Ndidi yesterday, so much energy about the midfield, that's what we need. BR says, you make very good points about the age of players and the difficulty in replacing them. I'm interested to know about your academy. Do you have any great youngsters coming through? Well, we've got some very good youngsters who look very, very good at their level, but it's very difficult to tell, isn't it?
I mean, you're thinking of like Tom Cannon and Lewis Dobbin and things like that, but you've got Thierry Small,
yeah.
The 16 years of age, the years away. I mean, Onyango for me is probably the one.
Yeah.
Onyango for me. I mean, very, 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 very good ability. I mean, did you watch him in the under-20 and the under-18s?
Yes, I've seen bits of it.
He was man against mice, mate. Yeah. He was just, he's so ready to just throw him in at a certain point. Listen, if he's not ready, then we'll see it.
Yeah.
But you've got to give him the opportunity. Yeah. You've got to, especially, there's no, I mean, we're still, the weird thing is, Cam, is that we're still in for a shout for Europe. I don't know how we're still here.
Yeah, we're here.
Over the week, like, I looked over the weekend and I was just baffled. I was like, Everton are still in this.
Yeah.
If Everton go beat Crystal Palace, we're still in this.
Yeah, definitely.
It should, I mean, and it's in terms of, they still got a bit of a shout in Champions League, but they're massively in for Europa League.
Yeah. Definitely, 100%.
You know what I mean? So it's just nuts.
That's it. Well, and Europe is, and the Europa League certainly. Well, Champions League will be absolutely brilliant, but the Europa League is number one now. Obviously, with being out the cup. We'll get back into the game then. There's a couple of more things I want to talk about. João Virginia being one of them. Obviously stepped in. We said last week, I think it was Wednesday, we done a live stream and we said, look, we'll wait and see what the news is on Robin Olsen. But if he isn't fit, then just sort of, cross your fingers and hope. And look, for as much as we lost the game and João Virginia was protected, and I agree he was protected in that first half, he made one excellent save from Sterling, and I actually think the save to tip the ball onto the bar is a very good save as well. It's fingertips over that, and he also done the simple bits that he needs to do right. There was a couple of, I think Sterling lashed one across the box that he comfortably come for. There was a couple of shots that he just got down and dealt with. I think we have to give him a lot of praise, Tom, for a young goalkeeper where there was a lot of pressure on him. There's been a lot of talk about him, certainly given the fact that he'd had a loan spell at Reading and he wasn't so great. He stepped in and he looked comfortable, I think, and for as much as, he had 5 defenders in front of him, and the likes of Godfrey were absolutely excellent as well, I thought. You have to say individually as a performance, he didn't really put a foot wrong, did he? Yeah,
I mean, I feel like he was a little bit nervous at the start, because like any young goalkeepers, I mean, you're in a quarter-final against Manchester City, of course there's going to be some nerves. But yeah, I feel he was very well protected, and he made up some terrific saves. I feel like Sterling should have buried it early. I mean, he sort of hit the ground, didn't he? That allowed Virginia to get back, to just get his fingertips on it. But very, very well. I mean, he's very, very good option, isn't he, for a third choice goalkeeper?
Yeah.
Again, Everton look, it's just another unlucky thing for Everton that we're on our third choice goalkeeper
at the business end of the season.
At a very, very important end. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily want to carry on with Virginia in goal for the next 11 games, but because I feel like Ancelotti sort of protected them in a way in terms of the setup.
Yeah.
I feel like when you look at it, we don't necessarily always play 3 at the back, do we?
No, I hate 3 at the back as well.
Yeah, I don't even think Everton can do it. No. I think they're so bad. I think they're so disjointed. But again, though, I really, I think Mina's huge for this team.
Absolutely.
I think he's massive. I mean, you look at when he was out, Keane's good, but he's not a leader. He's not very. He's a good defender, but Mina's just such a far better defender in terms of in his own box, and he sniffs out danger a lot. Mina, he hasn't got the legs or nothing, but you put Ben Godfrey with him. I thought he looked very good together.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I thought Holgate stuck out like a sore thumb. I mean, I feel like that lad needs a bit of a break. I feel like he's not in the greatest form at this moment in time, and I feel like Seamus Coleman looks like I'd assume Coleman will start over him now.
Back, yeah.
But I feel like Keane's got a bit of an issue. I feel like Keane's got more a lot to do to get back into that centre. I feel like there's a very good partnership developed really with Mina and Goffey, because we haven't really seen it over the season.
No.
We haven't seen this particular partnership, so I'd like to see more of it. And listen, the quicker Mina starts every game, the better for me. I feel like he just brings this assurance in the defence for me.
Yeah.
And to the team, he's very, very important.
No, he was absolutely excellent. I think the pair of them put in a really, really good performance. And interesting point you make about Michael Keane. Do you think that was the reason as to why he was on the bench then? Do you think it's sort of like, well, look, these two are probably on form our best two centre-halves, and as good as Michael Keane's been this season, maybe he has to work a little bit harder? Or do you think it was sort of a tactical decision? I mean, let's be honest, he hasn't gone away with England, which was something that caused questions. I thought, as soon as I read that, I thought Michael Keane's injured. That's the reason why he hasn't gone away. He's obviously picked up an injury, and then you see him on the bench and you sort of think, well, we haven't got a game for 2 weeks. He's not going on international duty, so he hasn't got a game for 2 weeks. As you said, the classic, if you're fit enough to be on the bench, you're fit enough to start situation. So is it just the case now that Carlo prefers, Godfrey and Mina, do you think?
No, I think for that back three, I think that's the best suited centre half for that system. I feel like Holgate, he's not a right back, but he's not a centre half. He'd be very good in a three on that right hand side. Holgate. I mean, if a team wants to go take him in the summer, I'd quite happily take the 30 odd million for him. No questions asked. But he suits that role more than Keane.
Yeah.
I feel like Keane would look very, very dysfunctional and out of shape, out of order if he was allowed to play that right side of it. If you're going to play Keane in a three, he's going to have to be that central one, because that's sort of his best position. But listen, I think Mina streaks ahead of him. I really do. I feel like this season Mina's looked like a very, very good centre half.
Yeah.
And it's just unfortunate that he is injury prone, isn't he? You're not going to get a 38 game season out of Yerry Mina, but if you could have Yerry Mina and Ben Godfrey moving forward, I feel like that's the best thing for Everton.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just more so because Doucouré's out as well.
Yeah.
I feel like they just give a little bit more defensive structure to Everton.
Stability, isn't it?
Yeah, and listen, the quicker Allen and Davies get played in a double pivot, for me, the better. Yeah. I feel like it's just written there for, and then you can allow your Gomez to push play Gomez further up. Like, it just push him away from that. I mean, that first goal, if you want to be a lot thingy, Gomez doesn't follow his runner.
Yeah. No one follows that. I mean, it's a good save to tip it onto the bar, and then the big sighing moment after it is that Gundogan's left on his own.
Well, that's Gomez's man.
Yeah.
And he just runs off him. Now, how many times have we seen that in football where the attacker reacts first?
Yeah.
Now, Gomez didn't even react. It's ball watching. It's just so frustrating, because you do look at it and you think, if Everton could have got to 90 minutes, and listen, I think we were all well aware that Ancelotti was playing for pens, weren't he?
Well.
But if they could have got there, then who knows what could have happened? Who knows? But people not doing, like, it's all well and good saying people were doing the task very well, but they failed. It's just they weren't doing the task very well for 90 minutes, where it crumbled. Well, it is what it is.
That's it. Well, like I said about the Mina header before, if it's going on target and it goes in, then maybe it's a different game, because maybe we then go ultra. I'm not even talking about park the bus. I'm talking about like park the Bowen 747 and just have everybody behind the ball, and maybe then it becomes a little bit like the Chelsea game in the league, where we scored on the counter attack, and then we got on the penalty, we scored, and then we sort of just kept everybody behind, and like you said, ultimately. It was great doing it for 80 minutes, and it was I think a tactic that worked for that time, and we frustrated City, and obviously we got forward on a couple of occasions, but ultimately.
Was you surprised that he never took Allen or Gomez off after the yellow cards? I thought he looked very tired as well. Like, I was surprised that we'd never seen Davies.
Yeah, I was surprised at that. I think I think what that and look, hindsight is a wonderful thing, and I don't know anywhere near as much about football as Carlo Ancelotti, but I think with that game was crying for a little bit more legs, to be honest. And I know Wobie come on and he didn't really do much, and I understand that. But
you got 3 outs onto the right hand side again. It's just like, what are we doing?
Yeah, that's what I mean. If we'd have made maybe a Wobie and Davis, both of them on at I don't know, 65, 70 minutes or something, and added that little bit of legs.
Put that Davies in Allen's role and in the Wobie into Gomez's role.
Add those legs there then, and then okay, maybe not necessarily saying change the entire style, but just add a little bit more energy in there, because I actually agree. I think for as well as we played for the first 80 minutes, in that second half you could see players getting tired. Alan, Gomez, even Calvert-Lewin up front, you could see the energy just gone completely.
Yeah, it was Alan looked, the poor fella would look like he was about to keel over. Look like he just ran a marathon, didn't he? He was running in Seagull.
Because he's doing Doucouré, he's running as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's got a lot of ground to cover, and listen, when Alan goes presses, he just ultimately expects his other centre midfielder to be there, but Gomez is just horrendous at defending. Like, his defensive instinctive is just non-existent. He can't cover ground. He watches the ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
He just watches things and then reacts. He's reactive instead of proactive in my team. And then listen, Gomez played all right, but what else do we expect?
I think in the first half he was good.
But he played more advanced though. That's where you want him.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah, you don't want him. You don't want him in that defensive. Yeah, you don't. Listen, Milan could go around him with a walking stick the way he plays defense. You know what I mean? It's just it's poor.
And that's I suppose the issue with our midfielders. You've got Kurt says, I'm off, lads. Great chat. Best of luck for the rest of the season. Top channel. Cheers very much, Kurt. Thank you very much for getting involved. Really appreciate it. And I suppose that's the issue with having Gomez and Sigurdsson, is you've got two players there who both of them can't defend for their lives. Give Gylfi Sigurdsson his due going forward in terms of assists and that little bit of quality. He's got that moment of magic in him. It's not as consistent as you maybe would like it to be, but he's got it in him. Gomez hasn't for me. So we're talking about a midfielder who can't defend, is better going forward than he is defensively, and was good going forward on Saturday in the first half, but ultimately still, I mean, he put one really good ball into the box on, I think it was the momentum, it had come out to him and he swung his foot at it. It was a great ball in. But other than that,
nearly at the Seagulls on the top of the Gladys, didn't he?
It was just the momentum on it. He just swung it in. But other than that, what does Gomez bring to the attack? I mean, we can all sit here and fair point. Sigurdsson brings nothing defensively. We saw that in the game against Tottenham. To be fair, I mean, he got 3 assists, but he was also at fault for 2 of their goals off corners. But at least you can sit there and go, but he's got 3 assists going forward. He's creating. He's doing something.
Sigurdsson's far better than Gomez.
Yeah.
I'll give him that credit. He's far better than him. Gomez, like we keep saying, Gomez brings nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. No one can sit there and actually say what he does well.
He's in there for his experience, isn't he? And because he's a trusted player.
But again, we're sat here again after another game, and we're talking about a midfield that has been put wrong in the wrong roles again. Yeah. It's just how many times are we going to say, like I keep saying, it's going to be a detriment to Ancelotti if he keeps playing with these players, and it just simply does not work. Yeah. It just doesn't work. Now, what you do, that you've got to then listen, Davies is our best centre midfielder in my opinion. So far this season, I feel like he's been excellent. So while Doucouré's out and you've lost them, you've got to find a structure to benefit and how these play. Because really, Ancelotti's hanging Gomez out to dry really because he can't do it.
Yeah.
he just simply cannot do it, and I don't know. It's gonna listen. It's starting to become a thing every game at the start of every game where the Chelsea game, I thought we would lose because I've seen that the midfield. I looked at the Burnley game, I was not confident at all when I seen that midfield. It looked so disjointed, and in the first 5 minutes, it was panic stations where... 5 minutes. I mean, 20 minutes in, and they fell apart. And then again against it's the same, like, sort of for this flat three.
Yeah.
It's like this flat three that he wants to play in. We just simply haven't got the players. Like, you're gonna have to change. Something's gonna have to change, otherwise it could go really bad here.
Yeah. Well, it could, and ultimately, you know, we could still be sitting here in however many weeks, months, 2 months time, 3 months time, and me and Tom might be sitting here doing a season review going, we finished 10th. It was a little bit of progress, but ultimately nothing really to talk about, and it would be a shame, wouldn't it, considering in March, at the start of March, we were talking about a potential fight for Champions League and a quarter-final of an FA Cup.
Yeah, it's see, listen, it's a funny old game, football, isn't it? Like, if you just stopped the season at like 27 games that are being made up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But just at this moment in time, Everton look like a side that are very out of shape, losing a lot of quality, and then they look like they're just trying to scrape over the line. Now, whether we do that or not is a different subject to go on to, but for me personally, if you're going to lose your James Rodriguez, your Doucouré, but then you're not performing in terms of your stats wise, and you're overachieving in that sense, even with them players, there's gonna be some drop. The stats are gonna creep up on you.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely,
I think at this moment it's about momentum as well. Yeah. You look at. I mean, Tottenham have turned it now. I mean, horrendous in Europe, but they went and beat Villa.
Yeah.
They look like there's going to be a bit of a momentum shift there. Even with Arsenal, to a certain point, they're only behind us. But the big game, it's a big game, Palace.
Absolutely.
Massive game. When's James Rodriguez? Is there any talk about when James Rodriguez
is back? He said he'd be back for Palace.
He'd be back for
Palace?
He
should be back for Palace, yeah.
How many weeks are we away with Doucouré now?
I don't know. He said between 8 and 10, didn't he?
So has Doucouré missed 2 weeks now?
When did he? I can't even believe it.
Has he missed 3 games?
I can't even remember. You know, I think
he
missed. He missed yesterday. He missed Saturday. Sorry, he missed Burnley. Who did we play before? And Chelsea. I think he missed Chelsea as well. To be honest, yeah.
So he's been out for like 2 weeks, maybe.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, coming up to 2 weeks, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, he missed. Yeah, it was the West Brom game he missed.
He went off. He went off, didn't he, in the West Brom game?
Yeah, so that was, say, it was the 4th of March. Oh God, he's only been out a few weeks, hasn't he? It's a worrying sign, isn't it?
Still got a while.
What did he say? 10 weeks?
8 to 10, I think he said. Yeah.
8 to 10, Jesus Christ. So, but listen, maybe a little bit of positivity that the international games have come.
Yeah.
You add another 2 weeks to that. That's halfway.
Yeah.
You can sort of maybe he gets back for the Villa game.
Yeah.
In May, 1st of May. Yeah, the Villa game. It looks like he'll probably be back for the Villa game, maybe. And look, listen, the next 2 games are huge. You've got Crystal Palace and then Brighton away. I mean, they're fighting for their lives, aren't they? And they look like they've sort of turned a corner. Yeah. That's not a gimme game.
No, it's 6 points. Comfortably 6 points. It's got to be.
Then you look at Spurs, Arsenal. That's probably a defining season, really. Them 2 games, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It'd be a crying shame though if Everton just fall off a cliff now, because there was just so much sort of positive things to go off, and listen, from sort of we went on a 4-game winning streak and we drew against Liverpool. Since then, it's been an uphill battle in terms of injuries and things like that, hasn't it? We haven't really had the rub of the green, really.
Not at all, and everything just seems to be going against us.
That's typical Everton.
That is Everton. Well,
you always seem to think that like we're turning a corner here. Once we get, I think we pretty much spoke about it, didn't we? I think it was after the derby, was it, that we were like, right, I think we're going to get all these players back now, and we're going to go for it. And then we went and beat Southampton. We thought, hold on a minute, Like when you think about it, it went through the 1st of March. We beat February. We beat Liverpool. Then we went and sort of got rid of the hoodoo of home games against Southampton. So at that point of the season, at 26, you're thinking, hold on a minute, this could be huge. And then we've just Burnley. It's just come, well, Chelsea, Burnley, but you lose them type of play, and it's just crumbling around us, isn't it? And it doesn't really show you the big picture what Ancelotti has done so far this season.
Yeah, and that's disappointing in itself, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit lacklustre now, aren't we? We're a bit downbeat.
That's it. But the big 2 games coming up. Before we finish up the live stream, then we'll get into the comments as well. I want to talk about City's 2 goals just to finish it up. John says Iwobi isn't good enough, poor player. He hasn't even got a position. Kate says 3rd choice keeper putting in a performance like that, nothing but praise for the lad. Adam says Allgate needs to get rid of his chewing gum, and Godfrey just needs to play whatever he wants. Adam also says
little things like that irritate you then when it's not going the right way, doesn't it?
That's it, exactly.
You know what, that does me Daz head in as well.
You know what, 3 weeks ago when we were winning, he was chewing, he was like looking dead sound with his chewing gum. I was like, that's sound.
Gum. Now it's spit that out, get rid of that. That's
that's why we're losing.
yeah.
Adam says Hammers is vital, lads. 2 boys up top feeding off scraps. Hammers will create something out of nothing. James says hi boys, worked hard, all we can ask. He also LCFC Boyer, what's happening? Nancy says hey up Cam. Semi says beat Palace and beat Brighton, and James says Godfrey, what a player he's been. Cam, he's been exceptional. He was very good again the other night. Just to round it up then, I mean the first goal, other than the tracking, again, it's a decent save by Virginia. It comes off the bar and Gundogan's on his own. And then from that point on, I mean, the De Bruyne goal, as soon as we see him come on, it's game, set and match then, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. I seen Mahrez come on and I thought that's it, because he plays very well against us, Mahrez. Yeah. Just all the time, doesn't he? And you could see what Guardiola was seeing, because you seen Gomez on a yellow card, and you saw that Bernardo Silva weren't doing much, was he? So then he brings in Mahrez on, and a play like that, it only takes a little flick out of the leg and he's going down. And I think in the middle of the park, I feel like it was one stage Gomez sort of just coming a little bit late on him, and he went down straight away, Mahrez, and he was looking for it. So I think Guardiola was very, very well astute when he brought Mahrez on, because I feel like he sort of seen a weakness as Everton's side on that left-hand side with Gomez and Dean, and it was just looking a little bit misshaped, weren't it? And once you go, listen, it's very, like I keep saying, it's very easy to go past Gomez. Once you go past Gomez, Alan was very tired, so I could see why he was wanting to bring Mahrez on to expose that and get the left shot on him. Listen, it was Foden in the end. He had a few good shots from wide, but yeah, listen, the first goal was just a bit of a detriment to ourselves. I feel like everyone was attracted to the ball, and then Gomez never really tracked the run and just played it in. It was like a bit of a FIFA goal to me. Yeah. Proper FIFA goal, weren't it, where you throw your remote then and switch the game off.
Yeah, that's it. At your telly.
It's just that to me just defined a FIFA goal.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that happened, and then listen, we had to sort of go for it. I don't think we necessarily did. I thought, like you've mentioned, very good point before, we just looked tired at that point and looked like a boxer on the ropes, didn't we? Just trying to hear the final bell, and and then he brings De Bruyne.
I just did behind the couch.
The lad, listen, that's world class, mate. Yeah. That's just that lad. That's just world class, and he for me, De Bruyne's up there in conversations with Ballon d'Ors and things like that. For me, he's such a brilliant. When he come on, that City team just went from gear 1 to gear 2, and that's all it took.
Yeah. It was quite similar to the Premier League game in terms of that, didn't it? As soon as they got that goal, obviously it was the second one in the Premier League game to go 2-1 up. It was the first one. We just were like, all the energy just went then. Anything that was keeping us up in terms of, we're still in this game, we're still in this. You saw the realisation come to the point where we're not going to score, so we've pretty much lost. We knew we were very tired, weren't we? But we knew that
we knew if we could just hold on, but there was a knocking on the door. It was a sense of inevitability, really. And listen, when he come on, it takes him, 3 touches?
Yeah.
He went round, it was him who done the first goal because he went round Mina, didn't he? So, and then was it Foden who hit the bar?
Or it was Laporte, I think. Or no, it wasn't Laporte, or maybe Diaz. It was one of the centre-halves, I'm sure it was.
Oh no, Gundogan put it in. What was it, one of the centre-halves?
I think it was one of the centre-halves. I can't remember who played there.
That's just madness, isn't it,
centre-half? I'm sure it was one of the centre-halves who hit the bar. I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, well, done that, and then Gundogan puts it in, and then, again, second goal, it's him again.
Yeah.
His speed, his power, he's just fantastic, mate. He's one of the best. He's probably the best player in the Premier League at this moment in time, isn't he?
Absolutely. And you can't keep up with that, can you? When you've got a bench with 5 players that have never played the Premier League game on.
I mean, what did City pay for De Bruyne? 60 million, I think it was, something around that. Everton paid 50 million for Sigurdsson. I mean,
you're killing me, Tom.
Do you understand? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's all about full circle. It comes back to recruitment, and like you say, Gundogan 24 million. You know, it all adds up, and we can all say as much about the bench, but there was no real sort of. I mean, Everton made 1 sub.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one sub. Is that what we're about now? And listen, it's always the same. It's a Wobie.
Yeah, yeah.
That will be somebody. You just know it's coming. Yeah. Like what else can he do?
Yeah.
Apart from put the young lads on, it's just
or the defenders. I think what his game plan would have been if we'd have gone 1 up, it'd have been Michael Keane and Davis straight on and just see it out. But as soon as we went 1-0 down,
I agree with you. I don't think Davies was fit.
Yeah. Because why wasn't he starting? Is the big question, isn't it?
Yeah. Listen, we're not all daft. I mean, you can say Ancelotti, brilliant, but we're not all silly. Like, he's been our best midfielder. Yeah. So why isn't he starting? It just, I don't know. Yeah. It just didn't seem like you say as well. Though, the Keane one was probably a system, so you can understand that. But the Davies one, I don't know. It was just a little bit weird for me.
Strange. It is, and ultimately, you know, we're out. Another quarter final, another game at Goodison Park. And just to summarise, Tom, I suppose it's not a surprise because of the team we were coming up against and the quality they have, but it makes, like we just said, now it's Europe or bust, in it really. It's go balls to the wall, and you've got to start winning games in the Premier League, because it would be a real, especially with this season and the way in which we started, and the win at Spurs, which we haven't won in 10 years, the win at Anfield, where we haven't beaten them in 20 odd years, the away record we've got. It would be a real shame if this team doesn't finish in Europe, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be a crying shame, because when you do break the season down, which we probably will, I mean, you've had 2 quarter-finals, probably not ready for them. Probably we haven't got the players for them. We've always been in amongst the top 6 or top 7, as you say. It'd be a crying shame if we fell apart now. But you wouldn't really. It wouldn't be a surprise the way it's gone, and Everton really haven't had much luck this year. Yeah. So, but listen, if we can sort of muster up a win against Palace, I feel like that Brighton game's a very, very worry. There's something about that game that I'm not really liking to, especially if we go into that game with this type of team. Yeah. It's a Crystal Palace game is a big must, but yeah, I mean, Europe, it's just there, isn't it? It's on the fingertips, but we're just missing it, and you just sort of not worry in a sense. You just think, well, what's going to be the detrimental factor in terms of the recruitment in the summer?
Yeah. Because
listen, like, I know like no one wants to hear it and things like that, but if we don't get Europe, like, I wouldn't be surprised if people start coming in for James Rodriguez and players like that. Yeah. I mean, I know he wants to be here and things like that, and I mean, if you were like an Inter Milan, AC Milan, or that type of team, because I feel like James Rodriguez would suit Italian football down to the ground. I mean, it would not surprise me if someone come in for him. And at Everton, if an Everton team without Europe, can we hold on to these players?
That's it.
it's a difficult one, because if we do, then at some point Everton have got to
take that step up.
Yeah, they've got to take the step up, but they've also got to do something in terms of selling a player to Lukaku as Lukaku sort of, and then pushing every other part of the position up in the squad. We're so lacklustre in other areas that could one like we say about Leicester, and like we've seen about Liverpool, that one player from big money where it's Maguire, Ben Chilwell, and then you look at Coutinho, and if you do your recruitment right, you can progress your team on so far with just that one sale.
Absolutely.
So, listen, let's hope we don't get to that stage, and Everton, let's just hope we get a performance against Palace. Let's go game by game.
That's it.
Let's not look too far, and let's just go game by game and hope for the best.
That's it. And we have to. Ultimately, the Palace game is massive now, as is every other game in the Premier League. And this was a disappointment. Was it a surprise? Probably not, but it's a disappointment considering it was a quarter-final. And ultimately, as Tom said, and everybody else all know, this is it's now bust or nothing for Europe, and these next couple of games are massive, absolutely massive. We need to get some momentum going in the league. We need to get some consistency. We need to get a run of results, a run of wins. So let's hope we can do it. Anyway, we'll leave it there then. We'll go on, Tom.
Yeah, no, I think just to finish it off, I think it will be a crying shame if we did just fall away, but you've got to look, like I've said, you've got to look at the bigger picture. There's been so many good things that has happened this year.
Yeah.
It's just a shame that you can't switch the start to the end.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's going to be very disappointment if we don't. But listen, we beat Liverpool, and we at Anfield. It's a massive, massive moment, and let's just hope when fans do, or when they are fans allowed back in next year. Again, unlucky again when they say that fans allowed.
Yeah, I know.
So it's just
typical.
It's just one of them. But listen, typical Everton. But listen, let's just hope we get back in next year and we can push on. We can push on again.
That's it. Absolutely spot on. Well, a massive thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this one, please do hit that like button. Disappointing results, disappointing way to exit the cup, but ultimately now it's sole focus on the league and it's sole focus on Europe, and that's all we can make that. If you've enjoyed it, please do hit that like button. Massive thanks to everybody in the live comments as well. Really do appreciate it. If you're watching as a YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below, and we'll get involved with as many of them as we possibly can. If you could share the live stream, share the video, it would mean a great deal to us as well. Tom, anything to say before we finish up then?
Let's start being positive now. I'm a negative Nancy at the moment, but we gotta start being positive. Let's hope we're more positive after the Palace game. And it's just unfortunate now you've got 2 weeks to stew, but that's the one. You've just got to put it behind us and forget it now. And Palace is a massive game.
Absolutely.
Let's park the bus against Palace. I feel like that's our best route at the moment.
Let's just win. As long as we win, then that's all that matters to me. James says, cheers, come on to the next one. Nice one, James. Massive thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed it, leave a like. Don't forget to check out Tom in the description as well. Follow Tom on Twitter and all of that good stuff. We'll be back in the next couple of days or so with a lot more content, obviously, over the international break. No need to worry. There'll still be a lot of content. We're going to be talking about a lot of different topics as well. A couple of podcasts on the way as well, so look out for those. Massive thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed it, leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you soon.